They found my daughter at the airport with nearly $1 million she'd liquidated and tried to move out of the country. But here's what the police didn't know yet. While I was on the operating table and in the days that followed having both breasts removed, she wasn't just stealing my house, she was signing papers to make sure I'd never wake up to stop her. And when I discovered what she'd really done, let's just say Ashley learned the hard way that you don't bet against a woman who's already survived cancer. I'm 62 years old, and this is the story of how my only child tried to bury me alive, and how I made damn sure she'd be the one in a cage instead. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, hit that subscribe button, because you're going to want to hear every single word of what happened next. And drop a comment if you've ever had someone try to take what's yours. My name is Linda Brennan. And for 37 years, I woke up at 5 a.m. to manage the medical records department at Providence Portland Medical Center, the same hospital where, on March 12, 2024, I'd go under the knife and nearly lose everything. But let me back up, because to understand how my daughter could do what she did, you need to know what I sacrificed to give her the life she had. I was 19 when I got pregnant with Ashley. Her father, a smooth-talking bartender named Rick, disappeared the day I showed him the positive test. I never saw him again. So I dropped out of Portland State University, got my medical billing certification, and started working. One job became two. Two became three during the holidays. I worked registration at the hospital by day, cleaned offices at night, and did weekend data entry for a law firm downtown. Ashley never went without. Not once. When she was 7 and begged for gymnastics lessons, I picked up extra shifts. When she was 15 and needed those $200 Nikes that all the Beaverton High kids were wearing, I ate ramen for a month. Her senior trip to Disneyland, I sold my mother's wedding ring, the only thing I had left of her. I paid $47,000 for her communications degree at University of Oregon, every single dollar. She graduated in 2003 with zero student loan debt, while I was still paying off the Parent Plus loans at 41 years old. After college, Ashley bounced between marketing jobs, none lasting more than 8 months. The boss was toxic, or the company culture was problematic, or they didn't appreciate my ideas. Always someone else's fault. And every time she quit, guess who covered her rent in her Pearl District apartment? Guess who paid her car insurance? Guess who slipped her $500 here, $800 there because, Mom, I'm just going through a rough patch. By 2023, I'd given my daughter an estimated $180,000 over her lifetime, and I didn't regret a penny. I bought my house, a 1,200 square foot Craftsman on S.E. Madison in Hawthorne, in 1998 for $240,000. I'd saved for 7 years for that down payment. It was my pride and joy. 3 bedrooms, original hardwood floors, a front porch where I drank my coffee every Sunday morning. By 2024, it was worth just under $1 million. It was my retirement, my security, the only thing I'd ever owned outright. Then in November 2023, I found the lump. Stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma, left breast. The oncologist recommended a double mastectomy. Why take chances? I was terrified, but I'm a fighter. I scheduled the surgery for March 12, 2024. Ashley was amazing during my diagnosis. She came to every appointment, held my hand during the biopsy, helped me research surgeons. She even took a week off work. She was between jobs again, to stay with me after the surgery. I can't be alone during recovery, Mom, she insisted. Let me help you, please. In January, she suggested I sign a power of attorney. Just in case something happens during surgery, she said, her eyes wet with tears. If there are complications, someone needs to be able to make decisions, pay your bills, handle things.
It made sense. I was going under general anesthesia for 6 hours. What if something went wrong? What if I ended up in ICU? Ashley was my only family, my emergency contact, my everything. I signed the papers at her friend's office, a notary public named Jessica Park, who worked at a UPS store in Tigard. We even went to lunch afterward at Mother's Bistro. Ashley ordered champagne. "To you being cancer-free soon," she toasted, squeezing my hand. I drank to that. I believed her. The night before my surgery, Ashley stayed over. She made my favorite meal, chicken piccata with angel hair pasta. We watched fried green tomatoes on the couch, and she curled up next to me like she used to when she was little. "I love you, Mom," she whispered. "Everything's going to be okay. I promise." I kissed her forehead. "I know, baby. I know." The next morning, March 12th, she drove me to Providence Portland Medical Center at 5:30 a.m. Pre-op nurses prepped me, the anesthesiologist explained the procedure. Ashley held my hand right up until they wheeled me toward the OR. "Don't worry, Mom," she said, smiling. "I've got everything handled." She did. Just not the way I thought. I drifted in and out of consciousness the first 2 days after surgery. Everything was morphine fog and surgical pain. My chest was wrapped tight, drainage tubes snaking out from under my hospital gown. Ashley showed up once on March 13th, briefly while I was still groggy. She stayed maybe 15 minutes, checked her phone constantly, and mumbled something about handling paperwork before leaving. By day 3, March 15th, I was fully awake. The nurses cleared me for discharge. I called Ashley to pick me up. No answer. I called again. Straight to voicemail. Texted her. Nothing. That's when my neighbor Karen showed up. Sweet 67-year-old Karen, who'd lived next door for 15 years and watered my plants when I traveled. She'd seen my Facebook post about being discharged and offered to drive me home. "Ashley must be busy," I said, embarrassed. Karen gave me a strange look. "Honey, I haven't seen Ashley at your house since before your surgery." Weird. But whatever, I was exhausted. I just wanted my own bed. We pulled up to my house at 2:47 p.m. on March 15th. I remember the exact time because I checked my phone, thinking I'd text Ashley that I made it home safe. That's when I noticed it. The curtains were different. Not my white sheers. These were gray blackout panels. And there was a white Tesla Model Y with California plates in my driveway. "Karen?" I said slowly. "Whose car is that?" She frowned. "I started seeing it a couple days ago. I figured maybe Ashley had friends helping with your recovery." My hands started shaking. I got out of the car carefully, every movement pulled at my incisions, and walked up to my front door. My key slid into the lock, but it didn't turn. The lock had been changed. I rang the doorbell. My doorbell. A woman answered, blonde, athletic, maybe 35, wearing Lululemon leggings and holding a green smoothie. She looked at me like I was a door-to-door salesperson. "Can I help you?" she asked pleasantly. My brain couldn't process what was happening. This is my house." Her smile tightened. "No, ma'am, this is my house. My husband and I closed on March 14th. She pulled out her phone, scrolling quickly. "See? Deed right here. We bought it from Linda Brennan for $900,000. The world tilted. Karen grabbed my arm. "I'm Linda Brennan," I whispered. The woman's face went pale. That's not possible. We did the closing. We met the seller. We have all the documents." "What did she look like?" I demanded, my voice rising. "The seller, what did she look like?" Late 20s, brown hair, very professional. She had her lawyer with her. Everything was notarized and—" "That was my daughter," I said. My surgical drains pulled painfully as rage flooded through me. "That was my daughter, pretending to be me, and I was unconscious in a hospital bed during your closing." The woman, I'd later learn her name was Melissa Torres, started backing away. We need to call someone. We bought this legally. We have a mortgage. We have title insurance. This is... Her husband appeared behind her, tall, confused, holding a toddler. Babe, what's going on? I couldn't breathe. Karen was calling 911. The Torreses were panicking, and all I could think was, where the hell is Ashley? The Portland police arrived within 15 minutes. 2 officers, Martinez and DeWitt, who looked way too young to handle this kind of nightmare. They separated us. Me and Karen on the porch, the Torreses inside what used to be my living room. "Ma'am, can you explain what's happening?" Officer Martinez asked gently, eyeing my hospital bracelet and obvious post-surgical condition. I told them everything. The cancer, the surgery, the power of attorney, Ashley. Martinez exchanged a glance with DeWitt. "Do you have proof you own this property?" "I have 30 years of mortgage statements in my..." I stopped. Everything was inside. My documents, my photos, my entire life. It's all in there. Melissa Torres, to her credit, brought out her paperwork. Closing documents dated March 14th, 2024. Purchase price, $900,000. Seller, Linda Marie Brennan. The signature looked exactly like mine because Ashley had practiced it for years, signing my name on birthday cards, Mother's Day presents, thank you notes. But there was my signature at the bottom. Notarized, official. Except I was in Providence Portland Medical Center with a morphine drip when that document was signed. "I can prove I was in surgery," I said, my voice shaking. "Call the hospital. Check my medical records. I work there, for God's sakes. I've worked there for 37 years. DeWitt made the call. 5 minutes later, his face changed. "Mrs. Brennan, hospital confirms you were admitted March 12th, discharged today, March 15th. Surgery lasted from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 12th. The Torreses went white. But the closing was the 14th. She was there. She signed everything in front of us. The title company, her attorney." "Who was her attorney?" Martinez asked. Melissa scrolled through her phone, hands trembling. Jessica Park from Benton & Co. Associates?" My stomach dropped. "Jessica isn't an attorney. She's a notary at a UPS store in Tigard. She's Ashley's friend, and Benton & Co. doesn't exist." I know you're thinking the same thing I was. How deep did this betrayal go? Comment "keep going" if you need to hear what happened when police searched Ashley's apartment, because what they found made the house theft look like child's play. Officer Martinez was already calling for detectives. This wasn't just a civil dispute anymore. This was fraud, forgery, elder abuse, identity theft, federal crimes stacking up like dominoes. Detective Sarah Kowalski arrived within the hour. Sharp, late 40s, with the energy of someone who'd seen it all and was done with people's nonsense. She took my statement while EMTs checked my vitals. My blood pressure had skyrocketed, and my surgical site was bleeding through my shirt from stress.
"Mrs. Brennan, I'm going to be direct with you," Kowalski said. "This is organized fraud. Your daughter didn't do this alone. We need to move fast. Where does Ashley live?" "Pearl District, the apartment I've been helping pay for." Kowalski made a phone call. Within 2 hours, they had a warrant. They found Ashley's apartment empty. Not just empty, cleaned out. No furniture, no clothes, no trace she had ever lived there except for a stack of mail and one thing: a file box labeled Mom's Documents. Inside that box, detectives found a copy of my birth certificate, my Social Security card, 20 years of tax returns, my bank statements going back to 2018, the original power of attorney, and something that made my blood turn to ice: a forged do not resuscitate order dated March 10th, 2024, 2 days before my surgery.
Kowalski called me that night. Linda, I need to ask you something, and I need you to stay calm. Did you sign a DNR before your surgery? No, absolutely not. Why would I? And then it hit me. Oh my God. If something had gone wrong during surgery, if you'd gone into cardiac arrest or respiratory failure, this DNR would have prevented doctors from resuscitating you. And with the power of attorney, she could liquidate your assets while you were alive. If you died under that forged DNR, as your only heir, she'd automatically inherit whatever was left through intestate succession. Ashley hadn't just stolen my house. She'd bet on me dying. The file contained more. Forged documents to access my 401k, $340,000 I'd saved over 4 decades. Paperwork to make her beneficiary on my life insurance, another $250,000. Applications to refinance my house before selling it, pulling out $120,000 of equity I didn't know about. She'd been planning this for months, maybe years. Where is she? I asked, my voice hollow. We're checking everything. Credit cards, phone records, bank. Wait. Kowalski paused. Hold on. We just got a hit. TSA flagged her at PDX. She's at the airport. Gate C7, Alaska Airlines flight to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Boards in 20 minutes. Stop her, I said. Stop her now. They arrested Ashley at Gate C7 at Portland International Airport at 8:47 p.m. on March 15, 2024, 14 minutes before her flight to Cabo San Lucas was scheduled to board. Detective Kowalski called me from the scene, and I could hear the chaos in the background. Ashley screaming, people gasping, TSA radios crackling. Linda, we got her, and you need to hear this. She put me on speaker. You can't do this, Ashley was shrieking. I have rights. I didn't do anything wrong. That's my inheritance. She gave me power of attorney. Miss Brennan, you have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. Where's my mother? Did something happen to my mom? Oh my God, is she... Your mother is alive, Kowalski said coldly. Despite your best efforts. The line went silent. Then, I want a lawyer. Great. You're going to need a good one. They found $310,000 in cash stuffed into 2 duffel bags in Ashley's luggage, rubber-banded stacks of hundreds. Forensic accountants would later trace that she'd already wired $290,000 to an account in the Cayman Islands under a shell company called AMB Consulting LLC. Her initials, Ashley Marie Brennan, registered to a mail drop in Delaware. The remaining $300,000 from the house sale had been transferred to a Mexican bank account that morning, using her laptop at a Starbucks near the airport. She'd also maxed out 3 credit cards in my name, $67,000, buying first-class plane tickets, designer luggage, and a 2-week stay at a luxury resort in Cabo that cost $18,000. But here's the thing that made me see red. In her carry-on bag, they found a brand new iPad, and on that iPad, a folder labeled Celebration. Photos of Ashley at a spa, Ashley getting her nails done, Ashley at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse toasting with champagne, all time-stamped March 13th, the day after my surgery, when I was barely conscious and tubes were draining fluid from my chest. She'd been celebrating while I was fighting to survive. They also found text messages. Oh, the text messages. To Jessica, the fake notary attorney. Ashley, it's done. Mom's in surgery. Closing tomorrow. Jessica, holy shit, you actually did it. Ashley, easiest $900K I've ever made. Jessica, what if she wakes up? Ashley, that's what the DNR is for, babe. To someone named Brad, Meet me in Cabo Monday, bringing $600K cash. We're set for life. Brad, your mom's really not going to find out? Ashley, my mom's not going to be a problem much longer. To her friend, Vanessa. Vanessa, dude, are you seriously doing this? Ashley, she's 62. She was going to leave it to me anyway. I'm just getting it early. She'll never even know. That's so fucked up, Ash. Ashley, she owes me. Do you know how embarrassing it was growing up poor while everyone else had nice shit? That last message broke something in me. I'd given her everything, sacrificed everything, and she thought I owed her? She was embarrassed by me? Detective Kowalski showed me the messages the next morning in her office. I read every single one. And I didn't cry. I was done crying. What happens now? I asked. The FBI is taking over. Wire fraud across state lines, money laundering, identity theft. These are federal crimes. She's being transferred to federal custody. The U.S. Attorney's Office is building a case. With the DNR and the circumstances, they're also looking at attempted murder charges. Good, I said. But I want more. Kowalski raised an eyebrow. More? I want every single person who helped her charged. Jessica, the fake attorney, Brad in Cabo, anyone who knew and didn't stop it. I want them all to burn. A slow smile spread across Kowalski's face. Now you're speaking my language. The federal trial took 8 months. 8 months of depositions, forensic accountants, and me sitting across from my daughter in the U.S. District Court for the District of Oregon while she refused to make eye contact. But I didn't go into that trial alone. Oh no. First, I called every single news station in Portland. KATU, KGW, KOIN, everyone. And I told them my story. 62-year-old cancer survivor. Life savings stolen by her own daughter while she was in surgery. The story went viral. Daughter tries to kill mother for $1 million house, read the Oregonian headline. Ashley's face was plastered on every screen in Oregon. Second, I hired the best federal defense attorney in Portland, Marcus Richardson. Cost me $50,000 I didn't have, but I took out a loan against my 401k. Worth every penny. Third, I made sure the Torreses, Melissa and her husband Jake, understood they were victims too. They'd bought my house in good faith, were granted early occupancy pending final recording, and had no idea they were part of a fraud scheme. So I worked with them. We negotiated. The sale was voided, their title insurance company paid them back in full, and I got my house back. Melissa even apologized, crying on my porch. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "We had no idea. If we'd known—" "I know. You're not the enemy. She is." The federal investigation was thorough. The FBI's forensics team discovered that the title company's system had flagged mismatched IP addresses during the digital document signing. Ashley had signed from her apartment in Portland while pretending to be me, but the geolocation data didn't match the hospital where I actually was. They also pulled hospital security badge logs and electronic medical records showing that Ashley hadn't visited me at all on March 14th when the closing occurred, destroying her potential alibi. But the piece de resistance? The thing that made this whole nightmare worth it? I testified. And I didn't hold back. I stood on that witness stand in the federal courthouse on November 18th, 2024, and I looked my daughter dead in the eye. She was in an orange jumpsuit, thinner, her hair greasy, her eyes hollow. "Ashley," I said, my voice steady, "I gave you everything. Every dollar I earned, every opportunity I never had. I worked myself to exhaustion so you could have a better life. And you tried to kill me for it." She looked down. Her lawyer tried to object. Judge Harrison shut him down. "You forged a do not resuscitate order. You were betting I would die on that operating table, that the cancer would take me, or the anesthesia, or a complication. You planted a document that would have prevented doctors from saving my life. And when I survived, when I woke up against your odds, you ran. You took my money and my home, and you ran." Tears were streaming down my face now, but I wasn't sad. I was furious. I don't know what happened to you. I don't know when you became this person, but I want you to know something. You didn't just steal my house. You didn't just forge my signature. You stole 37 years of love, of trust, of me believing I was raising a good person. And I will never forgive you for that. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of the court reporter typing. Ashley finally looked up at me. And you know what she said? "I'm sorry you feel that way." Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I regret it." Not even, "I was desperate." "I'm sorry you feel that way." The jury deliberated for 2 hours. 2 hours! They found her guilty on all counts: wire fraud, money laundering, identity theft, elder abuse, and conspiracy to commit murder. The federal judge sentenced her to 28 years in federal prison. 28 years. Jessica Park, the fake notary attorney, got 7 years in federal prison for conspiracy and fraud. Brad from Cabo got 15 years for money laundering and conspiracy. 3 other friends who knew about the plot got plea deals for testifying, probation, and community service, but their careers were destroyed. The money? Forensic accountants tracked down $680,000 of the $900,000. The Cayman account was seized, the Mexican account was frozen and recovered. The rest had been converted to cryptocurrency that Ashley tried to hide, but the FBI's cyber division traced it and seized those assets too. After legal fees and restitution to the title company, I got $520,000 back. Not all of it. About $85,000 had been spent on her celebration and luxury purchases that couldn't be recovered, and another $95,000 was tied up as evidence in Brad's separate money laundering case. But $520,000 was enough. And my house? I'm sitting in it right now. Same front porch, same hardwood floors, but different curtains. I burned the ones the Torreses had installed. It's been almost a year since the verdict. I'm cancer-free, just had my 6-month scan, completely clear. My hair grew back, the scars are fading. I retired from Providence Portland Medical Center in January 2025. 37 years of service. They threw me a party, standing ovation. The CEO gave a speech about resilience. But the best part? The absolute best part? Ashley writes me from the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, every month, begging for forgiveness, begging me to put money on her commissary account, begging me to write the parole board when she's eligible in 2042. I don't respond. I did write her one letter, though. Just one. It said, "Dear Ashley, you wanted my house, my money, my life. Now you have 28 years to think about what you did. I'll be 78 years old when you get out. If I'm still alive. Enjoy the view from your cell. Mom." And I'm 63 now. I'm dating a retired firefighter named Tom, who I met at a cancer survivor support group. We go hiking on weekends, we're planning a trip to Ireland next summer, and every time I pull into my driveway, I smile. Because Ashley tried to bury me. But the thing about women like me, we don't stay buried. We rise, we fight, and we win. If this story gave you chills, smash that subscribe button, because justice stories like this don't come around every day. Drop a comment if you think 28 years was enough, or tell me what you would have done. And if you've ever had to cut off toxic family, share your story below. We're all survivors here. Thank you for listening. See you in the next story.